Hey there, friend, and welcome aboard. Stu Black here, HomeStudioBasics.com. Before we get into the Sennheiser HD558 review, grab a snack, sit back and relax, cuz
Your ass came to the right place.
first we'll talk about build. Oh man. I'm a little bit late to the party on these headphones, but
The party's over for you.
I didn't really have any need for them because I had the 558s, and of course, as you know, the 558 sounds exactly like the 598 without those little strips in place. Honestly, you just put a piece of foam inside of there and market them differently, like, I don't know. Confirmed, they sound exactly the same. I got a chance to try a 598 a long time ago. I used to work at Strawbridge Studios, and this girl was wearing them one day, and I asked her if I could listen, and they sounded good. But that's really the only first-hand experience I have with them. I demoed the 558 next to the 598, and they sound identical. Without the strip in there, in the 558, it sounds a little bit more subdued, I guess, more laid back. Yeah, but we'll get into all that in a second. First, let's talk about specifications. The 558 is an open back headphone with a circumaural fit, an impedance of 50 ohms, a sensitivity of 112 decibels, a frequency response of 12 Hz to 38,500 Hz. It's made of high gloss burl wood detail complementing premium metal mesh. It has velour ear pads and a leatherette headband. I thought the headband was nice because it's kind of breathable. Like if you press on here, you can hear air come out. So I really like that. There's a choice of colors, obviously ivory and maroon. That was the older model. The newer special edition black is obviously black, and they added two cables. So one terminated in a 1/4 inch jack and the other in a 3.5 millimeter. The old HD558 only terminated in a 1/4 inch jack. So I guess Sennheiser thought better of it and upgraded that part, which is, it's nice for most people because your typical listener is not really going to have a lot of high-end gear with 1/4 inch jacks, so 3.5 millimeter just makes more sense for most people. Now we'll get into build. So I have a food scale at home. Sometimes I weigh meat and stuff like that. I weighed both of these headphones without cables, and the 558 is a lot lighter and it's a lot flimsier. The 598 is definitely, it feels more substantial in your hand. It gives you more peace of mind, I guess. Official numbers, the 598 is 247 grams versus 227 for the 558. The 558 just feels flimsier, a bit cheaper, but still by and large, they're pretty much the same headphone design-wise as well. I really like the build of the 598 though. I feel like you could drop it. I'm not going to drop this because this is not my headphone. This is my friend Luke's headphone from Audio Advice I met. He was nice enough to let me demo these. I really like them a lot, and I like the build of them a lot. You can see the headband adjustment is quite nice. They have that breathable padding, like I said. Ear cups are velour. They don't feel like a toy. Like a K240 feels like something you find in your local Walmart, but this one, it feels more substantial than that. It's definitely a step up from a K240. But the ear cups, they move in a little bit, and they also rotate just a little bit to get a good fit on your head. Detachable cable. It's not proprietary, so you can buy aftermarket cables. In fact, I have an aftermarket for my 558 because it did not come with a cable. I bought it off eBay a year or two ago. You just basically click it right in. You don't turn this one. I think Luke was telling me something about why, but I can't remember. With the 558, you plug it in, it clicks, and then you turn it a half step, and it makes a faint click after that. But with these, just plug them right in. The cable is fairly long. Makes for a great gaming headphone if you wanted to plug into an amp. And of course, like I said, it terminates in that 1/4 inch. All in all, build I would give an A. Maybe not an A+, because I don't know. I think they may deserve an A+, but You know what? I'm just gonna give them an A plus because I know I've done quite a bit of research on these over the years. They just hold up really well over time. So, and they feel really good in your hand. So I really like them a lot. What about comfort? These are probably the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn. If they're not, they're definitely in the top 3 to 5. I demoed these for about a week straight out of a JDS Labs Element, and I really didn't have to take them off one time. In fact, I really didn't have to adjust them hardly at all, and which has become fairly standard as far as Sennheiser cans are concerned. This one doesn't clamp quite as hard as a HD600. Even when the HD600 opens up, they still clamp a decent amount. These have a tad less clamp than a 600, but it's the perfect amount really, and comfort is phenomenal. I mean, you can see here the ear cups contour perfectly to the shape of your ear. They're very vertical, and they have just enough width to fit your ear in there quite nicely. Unless you have big Ross Perot sized ears, you should be okay. Comfort, definitely an A plus. The headband padding is also nice. It's breathable like I mentioned, and it doesn't really dig into your head, which I thought was awesome, because some headphones can get kind of uncomfortable after about an hour or two. These babies just sit on your head and almost feel like air, like a Bear Dynamic almost. I would definitely compare a Sennheiser to a Bear Dynamic in comfort regards. All in all, comfort, A plus. How do these sound? Sound is also phenomenal. They have quite a bit more soundstage than an HD600, but you're getting that same sort of great instrument separation, openness, spacious, airy, lush, definitely lush, and overall very detailed as well. Let's talk about the bass. The bass is really my only concern with these. It surprisingly handles indie pop pretty well for the most part, but you'll notice with some tracks there's a bit of, like, the bass just can't keep up, and you'll hear some fuzz, slight distortion, I'm afraid to say. But other than that, I would say the bass it rolls off quite a bit, but it handles the majority of genres with relative ease. I would say jazz is probably what these are best for. They handle jazz like almost perfectly. And you can hear a clear difference between an HD600 and a 598 with regards to jazz. I think in my article I wrote, jazz tends to hard left and right instruments, which sounds really weird on an HD600, not very good in my opinion. But with these, jazz sounds perfect, and you really get a sense for how it's supposed to sound and how the artist intended it for it to sound. I would say a perfect jazz headphone, but handles all genres pretty well. I was actually pleasantly surprised that it handled bass on some tracks that I really wasn't expecting it to. I go over that in my official review. But yeah, the bass can be problematic at times. Mid-range, absolutely perfect. They don't really need any more of an endorsement than they've already gotten over the past, I don't know, 5-10 years. 5 years, I would say. These really do handle the mids perfectly. Vocals and instruments spot on. Everything is there's a slight hint of forwardness, but not too much. Like the HD600s have that forward area around 3K, which can get really irritating after extended listening. These are much more relaxed, I would say, in the mids. Vocals don't shout at me like they do with an HD600, and I really like that. Treble, very much on par with an HD600. It knows its place. Like, it's darker, of course, but there's a crisp. They're really crisp and but not overly bright, which I really like. These are not going to be sibilant for you 100% of the time, I would say, if not 99.9. You're never going to feel like it's just too much, like stuff has too much of a bite to it. That's not this headphone at all. Sound, I would give an A- because of that bass sometimes can get, it struggles to keep up, especially in the sub-bass area, I noticed. But surprisingly, with a song like I Want Your Attention by Moon Boots, I was really surprised on how well it handled the bass on that track. It definitely hits when it's called for, but you'll notice just some slight distortion at times. Imaging. Imaging on the 598 is probably one of its best qualities along with the mids. Of course, like I said, they provide a wider image than an HD600, which it makes them a lot better for gaming. Perfect gaming headphone as well. Like I said, these do like really well with jazz. Will you need an amp? I would say an amp would definitely not hurt. At 50 ohms, they need a little bit more power than your typical 32 ohm headphone, but it's not that much more. Out of a phone, they'll probably sound pretty good. They have 112 decibels of sensitivity, so don't really need a lot of current. If you were to buy an amp for these, I'd probably just go with an E10K to start. If you're new, you could upgrade to a Dragonfly Red later. I write more about those in my official review as well. I wouldn't go overboard with amplification here. For instance, I was running them out of a JDS Labs Element, which provides a ridiculous amount of power, and they don't really need that much at all. You could turn the dial up to around 12 and you'll be set. I'll push it to 1 sometimes, but I find that they do distort at louder volumes, so I would kind of... These headphones are really more laid back, man. I mean, they're more for jazz, classical, acoustic, folk, bluegrass, that type of country, that type of more mellow sound, I would say. But they do well for other genres that I like to listen to as well. Rock, indie pop. We're getting into genre. Yeah, amplification, don't go overboard. Genre, pretty much all genres, like I said. I like these best with jazz. I mean, they sound like... I didn't want to take them off. I was listening to Coltrane pretty much all day. Really, really liked how they handled jazz. And that's fairly well known at this point. It's not like any news or anything like that. Final grade for these, definitely an A. Can't give them an A+ because of the bass. That's also pretty unanimous. I would say at this point the bass is... It's just not going to be able to keep up sometimes. But at the same time, I was surprised in how well it handled bass on some tracks that I wasn't expecting it to. I think they towed the line of being a solid A quite well. The mid-range and treble provide a near perfect timbre with regard to instruments and vocals and hats respectively. All in all, the 598 provides an almost impeccable sense of balance and musical accuracy, with a good build, fantastic comfort, and an overall sense of subtle detail, realism, and intimacy that works well for a wide variety of genres. So that's about it for today, folks. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and with that...
Check 1, 2. I hope you enjoyed this review. 2. It was brought to you by Stu. Who? Me, the lyrical G. Empirical dreams slide through like dream. PC gaming, letting off steam. Got bars for days like a prison inmate. A misdemeanor's fate, no debate. When I wake up, okay, start my day with a cup and I pray. I don't faint, I'm a saint of the Most High God. Of the Most High God.